and welcome to episode 38 of the podcast devoted to the classic and sometimes the not-so-classic genre cinema of yesteryear. This is the Bride of Monster Kid Radio. I am your writer, host, and producer, Derek M. Cook, and you're listening to some music right now from one of my favorite band discoveries from doing the show. Over the past 13 plus years, I reach out to so many surf bands on Bandcamp and other platforms looking for music to play on the show, and Beware the Dangers of a Ghost Scorpion is one of those bands that I listen to repeatedly even when I'm not putting the show together, and this is the song Vile Chat. It's from their EP Vile Chat. You can find them at ghostscorpion.bandcamp.com, or you can find them on their summer mini tour that's happening later this month on August 22nd. They're going to be at Moonbase 1 in Salem, Massachusetts, August 23rd at Rippers Rockaway Beach, New York, and August 24th at the Sunset Stoop in Brooklyn, New York. You can find Beware the Dangers of the Ghost Scorpion on Bandcamp, or on Facebook, or on Twitter, or in the show notes over at monsterkidradio.net. However you find them, make sure you let them know that you heard about them here on Bride of Monster Kid Radio. What are we doing this week? Well, we're doing what we do every week. We're talking about something that monster kids love, and this time around we're talking about a movie called Ghost of Dragstrip Hollow. This is one that I've been wanting to talk about on the show for quite some time. It's a fun movie. It's one that has resonated and stuck with me for a very long time, despite the fact that I haven't watched it in a very long time. But you know who's watched it a lot more than me? Fellow podcaster Christopher Page. He's joining me this week to talk about the movie, and it's a fun conversation. I love talking to fellow podcasters. I love talking to fellow fans. I love talking to fellow monster kids. This was a fun conversation. I hope you enjoy it. Now, I do put the spoiler warning at the top of all of these conversations. I am going to tell you, though, we do spoil the end of the movie. We flat out don't care, ripped off the Band-Aid. We're going to spoil the movie. So if you care about that kind of thing, still listen to the show, but maybe hit pause, go watch Ghost of Dragstrip Hollow, and then come back. Or just listen to the episode, whatever. I'm not the boss of you. But that's coming up in this episode. Also, of course, it would not be an episode of Bride of Monster Kid Radio without Mark Matzke's Beta Capsule review. We are near the end of his Ultraman Ace coverage. That's not because he's quitting. It's because it's the second to the last episode of Ultraman Ace for him to cover. He has been contributing to the show for so long, and I think in the email that he sent me this week with the link to his Beta Capsule review, he mentioned that this is like the 5-year anniversary of him doing this for the show. 5 years. How cool is that? Mark, thank you for taking the time and making Monster Kid Radio and Bride of Monster Kid Radio that much better, or should I say ultra. So that's coming up here in a moment. We've got the conversation with Christopher Page from Orphan Entertainment and the Time Shifters podcast coming up. Before we get to that, though, there is one thing that I wanted to talk about briefly. Okay, I take that back. There's two things I want to talk about. First of all, Gathering of the Ghouls. It's coming up. Gathering of the Ghouls 2025 happening in Chandler, Arizona at the Rawhide Event Center. It's happening on September 20th and September 21st. Beth and I are going as media guests, so we're going to be running around with our portable recorder, getting as much content as we possibly can at Gathering of the Ghouls. And like I talked about last week, I know that for this particular community, when we say classic horror, the Gathering of the Ghouls crowd looks at like the 80s as the classics, but that's okay. We are going to find a way to make sure that we bring you the Monster Kid perspective of Gathering of the Ghouls. We're going to find the core of horror, which, as far as I'm concerned, is the Universal stuff, the 40s, the 50s, the Hammer stuff, all of that at Gathering of the Ghouls. We're looking forward to that. If you're going to be at Gathering of the Ghouls, let me know. I'd love to run into you. I'd love to meet you. That would be amazing. I'll be one of the tallest guys in the room, probably wearing a Hawaiian-style shirt, and I'll look like I'm probably having the absolute most fun. And I'm a hugger, so track me down. The other event that's coming up is the screening of Jason and the Argonauts. It's part of the Ray Harryhausen Miniature Models of the Silver Screen event happening in Tucson, Arizona. We are going to see a screening of Jason and the Argonauts on October 4th. It's in the afternoon at the Loft Cinema. There will be a special Q&A matinee screening, and Vanessa Harryhausen is going to be there. The daughter of Ray Harryhausen will be there for the Q&A, as will Connor Haney, the collections manager of the Ray and Diana Harryhausen Foundation. I know that I'm going to be there. I know Beth's going to be there. And I know that at least one other Monster Kid Radio irregular is going to be there. If you're going to be there, same thing. I'd love to meet you. I'd love to share a hug or a hearty handshake or whatever it is you do. Whatever it is, though, make sure you look us up. We're going to be hard to miss, and we'd love to meet and hang out. So, events coming up out of the way. The other thing that I wanted to mention real quick or discuss or pose as a question to you. I use a lot of tools to produce Bride of Monster Kid Radio, and some of those tools, I will admit, are AI. Now, it's not generative AI, but a lot of times I'll use tools to help make the audio sound better, that sort of thing. And I think a lot of podcasters and YouTubers do this. I don't have a problem with this. I don't think any of y'all would have a problem with this. The question that I have for you, though, is does generative AI have a place in Bride of Monster Kid Radio? I've had some submissions sent to me by creators using generative AI, and I'll be honest, I've been playing around a little bit with some generative AI things too, but I don't want to start making them part of the podcast unless y'all are good with this. So please email me at monsterkidradio@gmail.com. Kind of like an informal poll, just want to test the waters and see what y'all think if I were to start to introduce some minor generative AI elements into the podcast. Very small. Very, very small. Okay, let's get on to the rest of the show. I know that I've had Beware the Dangers of a Ghost Scorpion Plane for a little while. Let's give them a break. Let's get into the conversation about Ghost of Dragstrip Hollow after Mark Matzke's Beta Capsule review, right after this.
Make your Halloween season extra special this year. Join other fans of monster movies from across the nation at the Monster Bash Conference, October 10th through the 12th at the Pittsburgh Marriott North. It's a 3-day festival celebrating classic horror and science fiction films. Guests of honor include Gary Clark, the teenage werewolf in the film How to Make a Monster, actress Barbara Wilson from the movies Invasion of the Animal People, Blood of Dracula, The Flesh Eaters, and more. Plus, from the original Dark Shadows TV show, meet Catherine Lee Scott and Sharon Smith. John Russo, the co-writer and actor from the original Night of the Living Dead, will be set up too. TV producer Bill Diamond will be shooting footage for his documentary series on monster book and magazine cover artist Basil Gogos, and have a great display of original art. Get autographs and enjoy a 3-day film festival and special events. Explore over 100 vendor tables with vintage monster toys, comic books, monster magazines, Blu-rays, DVDs, monster t-shirts, model kits, original movie posters. The Marriott will be bursting at the seams with cool stuff from our childhood. Admission can be purchased for $25 a day at the door or $60 for all 3 days. You can save more by ordering your 3-day admission in advance at monsterbash.us. That's monsterbash.us. Monster Bash, the conference and expo, October 10th through the 12th, 2025 at the Pittsburgh Marriott North. If you want to stay, ask for the special Monster Bash rate at the Marriott.
Hello, police headquarters? This is Carter, Johnny Carter.
Oh, sure, they're from another planet.
What a dilemma for young lovers Steve Terrell and Gloria Castillo.
He thought I was kidding him.
Nobody will believe the invasion of the Saucer Men. All this makes it seem natural for a beer-drinking bull to appoint himself chaperone of Lover's Lane.
Hey, for Pete's sake!
And a farmer with the longest shotgun you've ever seen plays the villain.
What's so funny?
Well, I expected to be frightened on my wedding night, but nothing like this.
It's our busy night, too. We've been flooded with calls from people who say they've seen flying saucers and little green monsters. Wonder how that rumor ever got started.
It's too fantastic to believe.
Just think of it.
Only this special unit and the President of the United States will know what happened here tonight.
You mean you think we know what's happened?
Live from the Land of Light in Nebula M78, home of the mighty Ultra Heroes, it's Monster Kid Radio's Beta Capsule Review. Ultraman Ace, Episode 51, The Life-Sucking Sound. Little Haruo is a gifted baseball player, but his mother wants him to play the violin instead. While trying to break the instrument, the boy is zapped by something like lightning, after which he's enabled to play the violin like a virtuoso. Tak picks up on an anomalous energy reading in the area and quickly identifies Haruo and a friend who become lethargic after playing the violin. Strangely, Haruo's violin grows to the size of a cello and flies away. Hokuto and Mikawa chase it until it falls into the hands of another boy who has a similar experience. Haruo's mother, desperate for her son to become a proficient violinist, steals Hokuto's pistol so he can't destroy the instrument. But the rest of Tak arrives and blasts the ever-growing object from the sky. From the explosion emerges terrible monster Gigon, with sonic weapons that can stop Ace in his tracks. The stringed kaiju seems bent on destroying everything in its path. Can Ace and Tak compose a victorious rally? Episode 51 of Ultraman Ace, which aired on March 23, 1973, builds on a universally recognizable theme. In this case, Haruo's mother's expectations and dreams for her son have literally created a monster. Blind to Haruo's actual talents and interests, she welcomes Gigon's reign of violence if it means her son might succeed at music, and nothing short of the terrible monster's death can repair the relationship between mother and child. In the context of the story, Gigon's appearance, a cross between a cello and a giant monster, simply works as the embodiment of Haruo's dread and a reminder that good things like music can become weaponized under the weight of parental expectation. It's an intriguing choice as the second to last episode in the series, but a clear demonstration that it understands the challenges of its target audience and sides with them in their struggles. For Monster Kid Radio's Beta Capsule Review, this is Mark Matzke reporting.
From the coldest and darkest regions of the sea, as old as time itself, comes the most terrifying monster the world has ever seen. The E-Creature! Slithering over the face of the earth came a monster from beyond the stars. Inhuman, indestructible. Life on this planet was doomed when it conquered the world! These will be the strangest, most terrifying motion pictures you have ever seen. You will see monsters from a nightmare. The most horrifying creatures that ever made you wake up screaming. The She-Creature! And it conquered the world!
The jungle becomes the graveyard of man and beast, as the mighty herd stampede in panic before the paralyzing fear of these monsters from the green hell.
The animals flee from green hell. This I have seen. And there is something, perhaps even monsters, but a thing of nature, not of evil spirits.
This is the drone of death. The terrifying sound of the monstrous cosmic ray mutations unleashed upon the jungle from a rocket run wild.
Can you guess how big the creature itself must be?
Yeah. But we won't have to guess at it, Dan. We'll see for ourselves.
Out of all mankind's millions, only a handful know the full horrifying danger. Their strange safari to fight the giant insect enemy, filmed with thrilling impact. See the battle with the warlike Kanagas, driven wild by their superstitious fear of the monsters. See the subatomic barrage, powerless against these invincible enemies. Monsters from the green hell.
This is Count Vlad, but you may recognize me by my more familiar name, Count Dracula, and I'm here to offer you a friendly warning. Derek and his guests often get excited, and occasionally this results in revealing key plot points of the movies they're discussing. In your parlance, you might call these revelations spoilers. You know how the children of the night, monster kids, can get sometimes. So consider yourself warned, and don't come begging to me to kill them for their transgressions afterward. I have more pressing issues to take care of, like that pesky Van Helsing.
Listeners, I haven't had this guy on the show in a while. He's not been on this version of the show. He's been a Monster Kid Radio irregular years ago. It's been way too long, but I've been listening to him because he's a fellow podcaster. And this week, he's a fellow fan of Ghost of Dragstrip Hollow. Welcome back to the show, Christopher Page. How you doing, man?
I am doing great. Thank you very much. I was trying to think when the last time I was on Monster Kid Radio. It has been a little while, maybe at least over a year.
At least a year? I think it's been a lot longer than that.
It may have been. What did we talk about last time? I don't remember. I meant to look it up, and I completely zoned out on it.
Well, I just did a little bit of Googling, and if this is right, August of 2022, where we talked about Octoman.
Oh my gosh, was that the last time? It's been 3. Okay, well, there you go.
And I'm looking at the show notes from that. What's this movie's connection to the greatest film of all time, according to Derek? I have no idea what that was even about.
No clue.
None. Octoman's a fun flick, though.
Maybe some connection to Creature of the Black Lagoon, just the fact that it's a water creature?
There had to be something there. Harry Essex was the director of that, and he was involved in Creature.
There you go.
That had to have been it. That had to have been the connection.
Everybody go back and listen to that episode and find out what Derek was talking about.
There you go. But make sure you come back and listen to this week's episode, because we're going to talk about another really cool movie. But I want to catch up with you, man. What have you been up to?
You know, same stuff. Keeping the podcast going. Orphaned Entertainment is still going strong, 13 plus years. Time Shifters podcast is still going strong. We're having a really fun year right now where we're talking about nothing but films that take place or have something to do with Mars. We're calling the series Get Your Cast to Mars.
I love that. All right. So Orphaned Entertainment. It started basically as a public domain show, but now it's a little bit more vague. Is that right?
We try to keep it 99.9% of all the films we talk about are public domain. We do add the caveat as public domain and abandoned media, because there are some films where trying to find out whether they're truly public domain is a hurdle after a hurdle. But it's one of these things, well, this thing is prolific everywhere. I can find it on YouTube. I can find it on this streaming service. I can find it on this Roku channel. So obviously, if someone has a copyright claim on this thing, they don't know about it. But yes, most of our films, we are still in early 20th century public domain works.
Excellent. And then Time Shifters, what's the focus there?
Time Shifters, it started out the idea that when we first started the show was everyone had busy lives. We couldn't get to the theater to watch the latest and greatest. So we'd watch it when it came to home video, or we'd watch it eventually when it came to streaming or something. So we'd be time shifting. Yeah, the stuff recorded on our DVRs and all that good stuff. And it just kind of went from there to where now we talk about whatever we want to talk about. It's generally not going to be the latest and greatest thing that have come to the theaters. It's going to be something that came out last year or something that came out 25 or 30 years ago. And we have taken to do kind of yearly themes and things like one year we did, well, it looked pretty, just talking about films that look great, but maybe they lack a little something. We did Past, Futures, Imperfect, where we talked about films that were made in the past, but were set in the future or present day and kind of compared to see what they might have gotten right and how far off they were from our reality. And yeah, as I said, now we're just doing nothing but Mars films, and we're having a lot of fun with that.
So orphanentertainment.com and timeshifterspodcast.com. I'll make sure there's links in the show notes, of course.
Thank you.
Christopher Page is no stranger to what we do here and the kind of things that we love. He goes to Monster Bash. He goes to various conventions and such. So you may bump into him. If you do, make sure you give him a shout out and let him know that you heard about him here on Bride of Monster Kid Radio. And I appreciate you taking the time to do this. I know talking about Ghost of Dragstrip Hollow is something that we've talked about for years, and it just never came to be. But, darn it, I love this silly little movie.
Me too. I know you've had other people in the past bring it up.
It's an interesting little flick. I watched it last night for the first time in years. This is one of those movies that has stuck with me for a long time. And, sometimes a movie like Creature from the Black Lagoon, I can recite from start to end, back to back, just because I've watched it so much and I love it. Ghost of Dragstrip Hollow, for whatever reason, I hadn't watched in years, but I still remembered so much of the dialogue. He's got static in his attic, man. It sticks in my brain, and I was so glad to finally watch it again last night while Beth was sitting at the table with me. She wasn't actively watching it, but she could hear it, and just to see her reaction, hear her reaction to some of the dialogue, especially between the father and the daughter.
Oh, yes.
Oh, wow. It was
between Lois and her dad. Yeah, if you're in the other room and you're hearing that, I'm sorry, there are many people among us that will go, I usually skip that part.
Oh, it was so fun, though, to hear the back and forth. And has your mom talked to you about, oh, yeah, and I taught her a whole lot. Like, whoa, wait, what?
Oh, what was the line? You're approaching womanhood. Dad, I hate to break it to you. It's arrived.
Just the back and forth and just the fun kind of, it probably was intentionally cheesy dialogue. And this whole movie is filled with it. Before we talk about it, though, I got to ask, did you know it was kind of sort of a sequel the first time you saw it?
No, the first time I saw it, I wasn't aware. It wasn't until I did a little kind of reading up on the movie that I found out that there was a film that was done prior to this called The Hot Rod Gang. Mm-hmm. And there is a tip, if you actually look at the movie poster of Ghost of Dragstrip Hollow, it does say in the bottom, Hot Rod Gang meets the Ghost of Dragstrip Hollow. It's like, okay, whatever. I have gone back and watched, in fact, I watched Hot Rod Gang last night and watched Ghost of Dragstrip Hollow this morning before we sat down to record. I've seen both before. Ghost of Dragstrip Hollow I've seen many times. I stumbled on this thing just as a Amazon thinks you'll like kind of thing and watched it and fell in love with it. And then I've probably watched it 5 or 6 times since I discovered it, because there's something about this movie that is just so endearing and so enjoyable for me. Hot Rod Gang is also fun, not quite as zany as this one. I think it's actually put together a little better as an actual movie compared to Ghost of Dragstrip Hollow. Mm-hmm. But still a good time. And both these films are precursors And without them, we may not have the beach blanket movies that AIP would produce just a couple years later.
I tend to agree that this sub-genre seems like it's laying the groundwork or laying out the beach towels for the beach party films.
I think it absolutely was. I think AIP produced these, and they were at least moderately popular enough that they liked the formula, the whole idea of the teen gang and getting into some sort of mischief and working their way out of it. And so I think they decided, let's actually try to throw a little bit of money at it, do it in color, get some recognizable stars like Annette Funicello, Frankie Avalon, and see what happens. And then they produced 4 or 5 beach blanket movies.
Yeah.
One, rapid fire after another. And I find them to be, a series of diminishing returns, but still fun all in their own right.
I love them. I love the beach party films. There's just something about them that draws me in. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 7 beach party films that are from AIP, and there are a couple other studios that tried to cash in on it as well. And I dig them. I think they're a lot of fun. I think they, like you said, diminishing returns. Although when you end with the ghost in the invisible bikini, I mean, it kind of goes out on a high note for me. But there's just something about this and the Hot Rod movies. There were other Hot Rod movies as well. Hot Rod Girl is out there with Revenge of the Creatures, Laurie Nelson in it, that sort of thing. And they're fun. You said these gangs kind of getting into mischief, but it's all pretty lighthearted. Nobody really gets hurt, kind of mischief. And you feel kind of innocent in a way, even though they're portrayed as juvenile delinquents. They're just endearing.
Mm-hmm. And they have a little bit, especially Ghost of Dragstrip Hollow, it has a little bit of a Looney Tunes quality about it, in that what you see on screen is all fine and, it's on the surface all perfectly innocent and everyone's having fun. But it has some dialogue, it has some scenes, it has some lines that for younger viewers, it might go over their head. But to us adults sitting there, we're going, I can't believe they said that in 1959.
Yeah.
There's no way that line wasn't meant to be suggestive.
Especially when Anastasia finally shows up with her bird. Mm-hmm. Some of the stuff that bird is saying, oh my. It's just nonstop. Beth is like, there's the court jester of the film right there, and he just will not stop.
No, absolutely. This film is so much of a little bit of everything. It is innocent, it's fun, it's funny, it's annoying, it's even, no really other way to say it, it's also at times a little sexy. Mm-hmm. I mean, there is a little bit of everything into this film. It is a potpourri of movie tropes.
They threw so much into this movie, and yet the movie still feels kind of disconnected in spots. Like all the stuff they threw in there wasn't enough to glue it all together. If you do watch it critically, it feels like maybe 2 or even 3 different episodes of different things. We take 40 minutes, and the movie's just barely over an hour long. We take 40 minutes to get to any kind of Ghost of Dragstrip Hollow at all. Up until this point, it's just the further adventures of the Hot Rod Gang.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm glad you said that about the episodes. I was just thinking that this has that feeling of a television series that has been truncated and slammed together to make a film.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much. Because there's this things where like, okay, we got to get this has to happen. So for no reason, this guy's just going to make this announcement at this point. Where did that come from? Why would he even think that at this time? It doesn't matter. They're just going to do it.
And then we've got the musical numbers as well. We get to listen to Geronimo repeatedly.
Geronimo.
Which is great. Although, and I didn't remember this. Like I said, there are moments of this movie that I strongly remember, embedded in my brain. But there are other moments that I didn't quite remember, including the fact that the band is firing off guns during their performance of Geronimo, which I'm sure was on a recording somewhere. But the implication, the way the film is shot, It felt to me like there was somebody in the other room, the police, the boys in blue or the blue boys, in the other room arresting somebody or writing somebody a ticket or whatever, while right next door, the band is firing off guns. And then the chef or the guy who runs the restaurant or diner gets in on the action as well. There's a cop next door and you're just shooting guns up into the ceiling. What is happening?
Yeah, and it doesn't matter. No one hears it. It's okay. There's a lot of things where people, well, that sounds like the party's really swinging in there. Like they're just listening to a slow dance.
Yeah. But it doesn't matter. There's this kind of weird pseudo reality thing happening. And then when the ghost shows up, it stumbles, it finds itself in Monster Kid territory, finally. And is it a ghost? Is it not a ghost? And oh, wait, there's a talking car now?
Yeah.
What?
Oh, yeah. This film definitely goes off the rails in the last, 10 minutes of it. We finally get to the ghost, which is really more of a monster. We only just finally get the Dragstrip Hollow at the very end of the movie. We're like, oh, that old house? You mean the one on Dragstrip Hollow? You remember the Zenith Club Dragstrip group and no one's mentioned Dragstrip Hollow yet?
Right.
Till now?
It'd be the first thing that I think that would make me want to join the club. I don't even drive. I don't know what's about cars, but wow.
Right. Yeah. And then, so we're going to spend the night. We don't learn anything, but you know what? It's daylight. We're going to clean it up and have a party here. And we'll make it a costume party. Great. Okay. So more music, some more fantastic little dance numbers and stuff with the crew. And then suddenly there's a car in the middle of the room that came from nowhere. And it's a cartoonish car.
Yeah.
That can talk and, does all the Hanna-Barbera boom, 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 wop, 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 when the engine's running.
There's kind of a subplot maybe with Tony and this other gang that really goes nowhere. He shows up a few times, him and his crew. They crash the party happening at the Cavendish house. The gumption of these guys to just walk in because they want to have a dance at somebody's house. Okay. But that doesn't really seem to go anywhere either. They keep talking about, are they going to have a rumble? Or are they going to fight? No. Nowhere. Goes nowhere.
No, it culminates in a drag race that happens off screen. And we just hear Lois say, well, I don't think they'll be bothering us anymore. Okay. Guess that's solved.
Cool. We got a talking car now.
Yeah.
So it's the Zenith Club. It's the Hot Rod Gang that we got to know in the first film, kind of. They're putting together a club. They've got a club charter, the whole 9 yards, except they don't have enough money to keep their space. So they're going to go back out on the streets where they could be getting into trouble, I suppose. The boys in blue harass them and all that. And that's kind of the plot as well, sort of. What are they going to do? They've got an embedded reporter who's doing a story on them, I guess, and telling their story and kind of explaining that they're not all that bad. And then they need a place to stay. And Anastasia's got this house on Dragstrip Hollow. And oh yeah, Lois gets grounded because she gets caught dragging. Of all the kids here, it's the girl that's the one that's getting in trouble, which I found interesting as well, which typically it's the bad boy in these types of movies, I thought.
Oh, yeah. The guys in this are so squeaky clean. They're unbelievable.
Yeah.
The fact that it's the girl that is the one that gets, kind of pushed into a drag race and gets in trouble with the police and then grounded by her father. She's the one that shows up. She's the only one that ever shows up with grease on her face and everything too. They're all supposed to be working on cars, but she's the only one that ever gets dirty.
Yeah, yeah. Jodie Fair played Lois Cavendish, and I don't know much about most of the cast here, to be completely honest. She was in Hot Rod Gang, of course. Did a few other movies, well, a handful of other flicks and TV and that sort of thing. But she's kind of our lead, I suppose.
Yeah, pretty much. Her and Martin Braddock. No, the cast in here is, for a large cast, it's a cast of people that none of them did a whole heck of a lot. A handful of films here and there, bit parts, occasional appearances on some TV shows. Not names you're gonna or names or faces that you're gonna recognize. In a lot of cases, anyway.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, I liked the cast, for what they were supposed to do. They all looked the part. Russ Bender is he's the reporter, I believe, right?
Correct. Uh-huh.
And he did the Colossal Man, Colossal Beast movies and a few other things that, put him in Monster Kid territory, but he also did a lot of television. And I'm sure that was all by design to keep the budget down. They cast a lot of, for lack of a better term, lower tier.
Yeah, right.
I was really taken by Elaine DuPont, who played Rhoda, who was one of the two bespeckled characters in the Hot Rod Gang. She was a very tall woman, and her shorter boyfriend also wore thick glasses. He was the one that created the big car that talks. But she also appeared in the Beach Girls and the Monster. In fact, her picture on the Internet Movie Database is a picture from Beach Girls and the Monster, which is another one of my favorites. But I really liked her. And within the Hot Rod Gang, there seems to be almost like a girl group starting with her and a couple of the others doing musical numbers and such. Just the movie's all over the place, man.
I actually thought Elaine DuPont was actually one of the shorter ones.
Oh, really? Am I wrong here?
Yeah, Elaine DuPont was Rhonda. She was part of the trio that sang. She was also the one that was doing all the dancing, I believe, towards the end.
Oh, was she? See, I thought she was the taller one, but I don't know because the cast, they're fun, but they're kind of interchangeable.
Yeah, unfortunately, one of my favorites was actually the other of the trio. One of the other, the girl with the long blonde hair. I think her name was Judy Howard. Judy Howard with the long blonde hair. She was part of the trio, and she sort of just disappears halfway through the film, and then finally shows up in the background during the costume party.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the tall one was Sanita Pelkey.
Oh, okay.
I believe
for it.
Yeah, I believe that was her. But again, like I said, this cast, you're not going. They've all done a handful of things, so they're not going to just jump out, and you're not going to find a whole lot of information on them.
Right. Of the cast, I think the one that's the most distinguished is probably Anastasia, Dorothy Newman. She has a look. She sometimes sounds like she's doing a little bit of Una O'Connor, in terms of her performance and
a little bit.
Yeah. Kind of all over. But she was in The Undead, which, is a movie I've never talked about here on the show, but I keep wanting to. But she's got a longer career. She's an older woman, so she has roots going back to, the 40s in Hollywood, and continued to work too up through the 60s, I believe, maybe even up until the 90s. She's a character actress, and she's in Hot Rod Gang too, isn't she?
Yes, she is. There's a handful of the same cast: Jodie Fair, Russ Bender, Dorothy Newman, and I don't know her name, but I believe she was like the girlfriend of the rival gang. I believe was also in Hot Rod Gang.
Okay.
All of them in different roles. Jodie Fair does play Lois Cavendish in Hot Rod Gang, but it's a completely different character or type of character. So it's a weird group. If you want to talk about it being an original and a sequel, it's a weird connection. Because Russ Bender plays a motorcycle cop in the first film that just makes occasional appearances. And now he plays a reporter who's in the entire film in Dragstrip Hollow. So yeah, it's an odd one.
It's a weird connection, and I think that's probably why when I first saw Dragstrip Hollow, I had no idea, if it was a follow-up or not. And who knows? AIP was just kind of throwing things at the wall to see what stuck. That's what they did. Throw together a movie in a week and see what happens.
Yeah, you definitely do not have
party
to
movies have
watch-
the same issue. So
Yeah, exactly. You do not have to watch one to understand the other.
No.
In fact, if you do, you'll actually be more confused than you will be informed.
You saying that makes me think. One thing I wanted to talk about was whether or not there should have been or could have been more Hot Rod Gang movies. But if the through line from Hot Rod Gang to Dragstrip Hollow tells us anything, it wouldn't have mattered. It would have been a completely different kind of movie, different characters playing different people, or vice versa. And yeah, it would have been all over the place. But it's just a fun little world that I would have liked to explore a little bit more.
No, absolutely. I would not have been opposed to another film with this same group, even if it is going to be effectively a completely different world and different story and different characters. It'd still be fun to see the same actors, have another go.
Yeah. I do want to talk about the big monster connection in this, but before I get there, I always like to try to look up the weird little tidbits and, the trivia on IMDb and Wikipedia stuff and different reviews and all that. I didn't find a lot, but the one thing that stood out to me is that this movie was released as part of a double feature with the movie The Diary of a High School Bride. And I'm trying to imagine what the audience would have thought if they sat through this movie and then a movie whose Internet Movie Database's synopsis reads, a 17-year-old high school senior must justify her wedding to a 24-year-old law student to both her parents and her unbalanced ex-boyfriend. What would that experience be like? Because those sound like completely different films.
Yes, we are young and in love, and the world is wonderful, and not quite real.
We have our own apartment and our own bed. We're married.
Yes, we're married, even though Judy is still in high school. Maybe that's why her folks just can't seem to understand.
Why, Judy? Why?
Judy, answer your father.
Steve and I love each other. We had to get married.
What do you mean, you had to get married?
That is the oddest pairing. There are times where you hear about double bills and you go, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, there are times where you're just like, what were they thinking? Because the one audience is not the audience for the other. Someone is going to suffer through something.
Yeah, absolutely. What the heck? Anyway. Let's bring it back to something fun.
Yeah.
We got monsters in this, man, kind of.
We got a monster, for sure. And it's a real interesting. Do you want to be the one to kind of to reveal what brings us into the Monster Kid Radio wheelhouse?
We got Paul Blaisdell. We got Paul Blaisdell in this, man. Now, Paul Blaisdell. Who's Paul Blaisdell? He did... I mean, he's an icon. I mean, really, he created some of the most iconic low-budget monsters of this era.
Oh, absolutely. Going back to working with AIP, working with Roger Corman, he created the She Creature. He created, what was the nickname given to the carrot?
Beulah?
Beulah.
Yeah.
he created Beulah. And the name of the film was just left my head as I was saying the words.
It Conquered the World.
Okay, that's what was coming to mind, but for some reason I was thinking that was the wrong one. There's so many of those something conquered something else films.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure I had the right one. Yeah, very prolific early on in the 1950s with the creature features.
Yeah. It Conquered the World, the She Creature, Day the World Ended. Monster from, he didn't actually create any monster suits and monsters from Green Hill. Invasion of the Saucermen, another one which I've never talked about here on the show and keep meaning to. Some of his stuff would appear in other movies that he didn't have anything to do with, How to Make a Monster. You got the She Creature and Saucermen masks and that. He designed the ray guns in Teenagers from Outer Space, which is another endearing kind of little movie that I like. But he's, Monster Kid royalty. He might not have been paid much, didn't get paid like royalty, but he created so many iconic creatures of that era for AIP.
Absolutely. And his role in this is it's so weird. It's almost a little meta because he shows up in the end. He's unmasked as the monster for no reason. Why he's there and why he's trying to scare these people out of this house isn't explained whatsoever.
Very Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, it just happens. And it's him being upset, I guess, at AIP for not using him in a film. And what was it? Horrors of the
Black Museum.
Horrors of the Black Museum. So he's all upset. He's like crying. He like, all the stuff I did. I scared you with the she creature. I did this. I did that. And then you didn't use me in Horrors of the and okay. I don't know where all this came from. But the weirdest thing is, this is the last film that he did.
Yeah.
AIP, no, but he effectively left the industry not too long afterwards. So there's almost like a kind of a darkness that kind of settles over the end of this film when you find out that that's what happens.
It's bizarre. And it does go meta, like you said. Now, at the not at the beginning, but at some point in the movie, the reporter character says that he used to cover the movie beat. So, that's right. When they're going to go to the Dragstrip Hollow house, I used to cover the movie beat. I don't get scared easy or something. I remember the line of dialogue.
Right.
So, there's kind of this movie connection is like, oh yeah, it's the guy that worked in the movies. And you know me from the movie. I don't know what's going on.
Right. Yeah. So are they acknowledging that they're in a movie? Does it just mean that those movies existed in this universe? But how or why he decided to be involved in this house and scare these kids? Not explained.
There's a secret room that he's hanging out in and all that. But there's still some supernatural stuff happening, kind of. Anastasia's talking about there being a ghost of somebody here. And there is a ghost revealed at the end.
Yeah, her late husband turns out has haunted the place, but is chased away by the rock and roll.
Right. So think about these movies, man. The power of rock and roll will drive away ghosts or revive giant spiders or who knows what else. But that's,
it's bizarre. It's insane. There's just no trying to explain this film in any coherent manner is I think it's impossible because none of it makes sense.
It doesn't make sense. And I normally have no shame about these movies. And I think I've talked about this before. I don't believe in the idea of a guilty pleasure. You find something, you enjoy it, no guilt. Just enjoy it. Don't worry about it. But like I said, Beth was sitting at the table with me while I was watching this. She was working on a Lego model. And every once in a while, I felt the need to, do I need to explain what's happening here? Do I need to justify what I'm watching? Because it doesn't make sense at all, does it?
No.
That's how I know I married the right one, is that she didn't need that. So,
No, absolutely. It is one of those movies, like I said, there are some dialogue that you don't want people overhearing from the other room without the context. There are times and moments in the film where you're sitting there watching it going, I hope no one walks in and asks me why I'm watching these women running around in their 90s in the living room.
Or stopping to watch some sort of fractured flickers on TV, whatever that was.
Right. Bizarre. More bizarreness.
It's near fever dream territory in a lot of this. And it's...
Yeah.
But it's fun. It really is fun. With Blaisdell's... Was that Blaisdell's real voice? I don't think I've ever heard the man speak.
You spoiled everything, you monster!
I knew I'd seen you before.
Of course you've seen me before. I scared you to death the day the world ended. You shivered when you saw me in the she creature. The shame of it. The indignity. They didn't use me in Horrors of the Black Museum. After my years of faithful service, they just discarded me.
I'm assuming that was really him. Now, he may have pitched it up because he was trying to be crying or something like that. But as far as I know, that's him.
But still, he makes an appearance in a version of the she creature costume. I think the she creature costume was altered a little bit, but
It's
not
less
much.
she-like.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of.
It looks more like a male creature, I suppose.
Yeah. Who knows? And
Yeah,
you do
but
get
this
the
will be
mask
the
from Invasion of the Saucer People in there too, or Saucer Men.
Yep, that makes an appearance, just kind of bopping on somebody's head in the background during the party.
Well, and the reporter's got in his hand, and he just kind of tosses it aside. I'm like, dude, fragile, careful, be careful with that. It's like, no.
Well, from what I read, Blaisdell actually got a little annoyed with the industry and his creations because, like I said, this is the last film that he did any real work on. He was paid for to create some creatures in a film that ended up not being used, and he got a little annoyed that what he created was sort of kind of just tossed around like so much garbage. I think it was Ackerman might have actually had one of his creatures displayed in his house, but just displayed in the front foyer where the sun hits it and it just caused it to disintegrate and fall apart. He watched his Beulah and a few of his other creations go up in flames on camera. I think it was in How to Make a Monster. They actually just destroyed the stuff. He just became a little annoyed with it all. And that's one of the reasons he decided to just kind of leave the industry. He became a carpenter, is what I read.
There's a really good biography came out in 2009, Paul Blaisdell, Monster Maker, written by Randy Palmer. Really good. I would recommend people check it out. I'll make sure there's a link in the show notes to check it out as well. But it's a really good read. And his life story, his career, kind of sad how some things kind of worked out for him towards the end. Did not get paid as much as he probably should have. I think even his widow ended up not getting some of the money that she probably should have as well. He was also involved in the Fantastic Monsters of the Film magazine that they were trying to put together, but it did not do very well. There were fires and such, and just, he's one of those guys that I wish you can kind of go back and retroactively be like, dude, here's all the money in the world because you deserve it for all the stuff you gave us. But
or at least be able to go and tell him, dude, your stuff is loved and appreciated for decades.
Yeah.
You know, you want that Van Gogh Doctor Who moment.
I'm married to a Whovian now, so I get that reference.
Yeah, I thought you might. Yeah. Yeah, you want that moment. You want to, you wish you could go and you wish you could tell him how important the work that he did, even though it may not have been appreciated at the time by the people that used them or whatever, that people like you and I still, create paintings and talk about and do sculpts, and there's toys. And if you're listening, Paul Blaisdell, thank you.
Yeah. I mean,
in the monster world beyond, thank you very much.
I mean, even, I made that joke earlier about the power of rock and roll bringing a spider back to life. That's from Earth versus a Spider, another movie that he worked on. And a lot of the movies that he worked on are some of my favorites. I love How to Make a Monster, and he didn't work on that directly, but his work appears in that film. I love How to Make a Monster so much. And you've got the she creature and the Saucerman mask in that. There are movies on here. I've been doing this show for over 13 years now, and there are movies in his filmography that I still haven't talked about, and I regret having not talked about them yet. I would love to talk about Invasion of the Saucermen, just because it's such an iconic image. The visual of that mask, that design, it's wonderful. And so, yeah, Blaisdell, if your energy is out there anywhere, know that you've inspired this monster kid right here, man.
Absolutely. I've got the Saucer Man bobblehead on my desk upstairs.
Oh, how cool is that, dude? How cool is that? So he turns up at the end, and then you've got a ghost that kind of walks out of a spinning painting sort of at the end with less than a minute of film time to go. And then the movie ends with "The Endeth Man," and that's it. And that's the movie.
Yeah, that's the Ghost of Dragstrip Hollow.
It's a fun film. I really dig it. It's all over the place. It's a mess. I don't care.
Yeah, that's the weird thing is it is a mess. It's exactly the way to describe it. And usually when you say that, you're talking about a film that you wouldn't recommend, that you think, yeah, oh, this was terrible. What a mess. This was put together so poorly. And all that applies to this movie, but my God, I have fun with this. Like I said, this has got to be the 6th or 7th time I've watched it in like only a handful of years. It's just become this sort of, I need a pick me up. You know, it's been a rough week. I just want something fun. Oh, Ghost of Dragstrip Hollow. It's perfect. It's going to make me smile.
We were talking before we hit record because you and I haven't chatted in a while, and you're a Monster Bash regular. Monster Bash has a movie room. They show movies almost nonstop the entire weekend. And, you know, as somebody who goes to conventions, especially as somebody of an older demographic who goes to conventions, sometimes you need to sit down and just chill for a bit. And sometimes that's in the movie room or where they're doing a QA or whatever. This is the movie they need to play like on a Saturday night to kind of keep people going because you're on day 2 of a convention. You need that pick-me-up. You need that push. Granted, at Monster Bash, they give out cake that night and you got the sugar thing going, but you need a movie to pick you up. This is the movie to do it. This is a movie that would play well at Monster Bash.
Oh, absolutely. But it's another one of these movies, and I'm wondering to try to find and watch this. It is available on, you know, a streaming service here and there. Physical media, I don't know if it's still in print, but the only way you could find it was in a 2-pack with the Ghost and the Invisible Bikini.
Okay.
And it's a fine transfer, but you know, this is one of these films that you wish would have like that nice big 4K remastered Blu-ray sort of thing. You know, where is Shout Factory? Where is Kino Lorber Cult Cinema with this one? And I wonder if it's because it's got that AIP production label. Are there rights issues? You know, is Susan Hart or someone sitting on this thing and saying, nope, that's all you're going to get? You know, is this VHS copy that we got from somebody or broadcast rip that someone has on YouTube, is that the best we're ever going to get of this film? And maybe you can't have it at something like at Monster Bash because of American International Pictures saying, nope, sorry. You can, but it's going to cost you more than your convention is worth.
Yeah, I do wonder now that you bring that up, I do wonder who owns the rights to this. I think the transfer that I saw starts with an MGM lion logo, but then I thought I also saw Orion somewhere on there too, which, you know, somebody bought a library, who bought a film library, who bought this library, who knows where it ended
That's
up.
on the DVD. I watched it off the DVD copy this time, and it is MGM followed by Orion followed by an AIP picture.
Right. Who was the producer on this? I mean, obviously AIP was the production company, but who actually produced it?
Lou Rossoff.
Okay.
Who also
was also the writer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the AIP problem. I was going on and on earlier about how to make a monster, which is great that one's out there that you can see. But the 2 movies that precede it, you know, Teenage Frankenstein and Teenage Werewolf, have never been or will not be released on traditional DVD media or Blu-ray media because of the rights issue. And, you know, we talk about that every once in a while, like online, or it's come up here on the show too with Susan Hart owning certain parts of the AIP library. It would be so nice to have it all back together again at some point and have access to these things. Is there even an element that could be remastered of this? Is there a film somewhere, a negative somewhere of this out there? Who knows?
I'd be very curious, but I'm doubtful.
Yeah.
I think at this point, and it's such a shame. And I don't know if this one, you and I know about it, and we're telling the world about it here, but it's not one of these films that is widely known. You don't hear about it in the same breath as many of the films we've talked about here today. So is there really not I mentioned like Kino Lorber or Shout Factory. Do they know that this thing exists? And would they look at this and go, no one's going to buy that? Even if they did get a hold of a film element, would they spend the time and money to do something for this film? Because it's not this sought after, mythical film that everyone knows about and no one's seen or anything like that.
Yeah. Return on investment for something like this. Could they justify it? I don't know. For a while there, we had boutique labels putting out everything they can get their hands on. But in the day and age of streaming now anyway, does anybody care? I mean, we care. We probably care too much.
Yeah, probably. I will say, if you buy the DVD, it is a fine transfer. It's good enough. It looks like it might be, a VHS type quality. It's obviously not been remastered or anything like that, but it's a solid copy. It's not fuzzy. It's not scratchy. The audio's good. So fortunately, you can find good enough copies of this to watch.
Well, and with something like this too, you've got music rights you got to worry about with Geronimo and all that too. So that could also be something to worry about when trying to put it out.
Yeah, you got music from Ronald Stein involved in here too, which I know is going to, run into additional issues. So
it is on YouTube, and that's how I watched it this time. I have it on disc, but my DVDs are all in storage. And the YouTube auto copyright flagging system does flag it for like 3 or 4 different songs just automatically, which YouTube copyright's a whole different conversation. And it's a mess. You travel the waters of public domain film, so
Absolutely.
And it's kind of a nightmare, and sometimes it doesn't really work the way it's supposed to. But Geronimo is kind of a well-known-ish song of the era. So whoever had the rights to that or has the rights to that would have to also be involved. So who knows?
Yeah, no, it's unfortunate. There's a lot of hurdles to overcome to have something like this released in any other form than what it is now.
Exactly. We didn't talk about the director much. It's directed fine. William J. Holt Jr. It's the guy's name. He was not the director of the Hot Rod Gang. And he was one of these working directors. He did work on The Devil's Hand, which is another movie that I've never talked about here on the show, but I'd like to. I think I've probably even shown this one on the Twitch stream at some point. A cool little satanic movie, which I kind of like. But another one of these working directors. The direction's fine. Everything about the movie is fine, but it's also fun.
I think we actually covered The Devil's Hand on Orphan Entertainment.
Did you?
It's one of those rare ones where it falls under the, if not public domain, definitely abandoned type of film. But just because we were really interested because Neil Hamilton appears in that film.
Okay.
Of course, Commissioner Gordon of Batman fame.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So
if you ever wanted to see Commissioner Gordon as a Satanist, there's your film.
And now I want to read that Batman comic. That's what
that director had to. I would love to be in the room when they handed him the script and really have him go through it. Are we missing pages? What?
Yeah. Like, where's the hot rod race? Where's the...
Where's this car come from?
Right. Well, and he could do race movies. He did Speed Crazy right before this, which is another, racing movie, I guess. I don't know anything about it other than Brett Halsey's in it, and I like him, so he could do it. And the movie opens with kind of a speed race, a drag race.
Yeah, minor one, just one in the LA River Basin.
And we do have that sped up bit with Anastasia driving.
Oh, and me in my prime of life.
So I said earlier, there was a moment or two in this movie where I felt like I maybe needed to justify what I was watching to Beth. That's when it started, was during the race scene. Well, not the race scene, the driving scene with Anastasia. I was like, oh, yeah, I need to Oh boy.
That's the comedy, folks. Yeah.
But it's so fun. This is like a perfect, and we're recording on a Saturday morning. This would be a perfect Saturday morning movie.
Being that someone that just watched it Saturday morning before sitting down to record, I will agree.
There you go. There you go. Anything else we want to say about this movie before we wrap up?
No, I suppose not. It is the most bizarre thing of 1959 that I think you're going to see. But if you are a fan of the hot rod films, of the musical beach blanket type movies, if you want people that are just for no reason decide, you know what, let's sing and dance, this is a great film for you. It's a little bit of everything. And Derek and I, anyway, think it's a heck of a lot of fun.
It is a heck of a lot of fun. It's got some proto Scooby-Doo elements. It's got every gang has, a handful of musicians, elements. It's got guns. It's got cops. It's got racing. It's got a talking car.
If you're a dragstrip fan, it's got Tommy Ivo, who is like one of the forefathers of like modern drag racing. He's a world record holder at the time of this film, which they bring up. He plays himself, and they talk about his world records and all the different races that he's done. And he's got one of his dragsters right there, and he tells you exactly everything you want to know about this car. So there's another reason and a whole nother fandom to watch this film.
It's got a lot going for it, man. Could it have come together a little bit better? Maybe, but I don't care.
No, I don't know if it could. I honestly don't know that you could have taken this story and strung it together into anything that would have made sense.
I agree with you. It's a lot of fun. So check it out if you can. It did have a DVD release as part of a double feature, like Chris was talking about earlier. Track it down, give it a watch, have some fun with it, pop some popcorn, pour yourself a bowl of Monster cereal, and have a good time with the Ghost of Dragstrip Hollow. And when you're done, go listen to Orphan Entertainment and or the Time Shifters podcast.
Yeah, please do, and let us know that Derek sent you along. We'll be glad to have you as listeners, and hopefully we have something that you enjoy.
Anything coming up for you want to promote on your podcast? Because this episode is going out right away.
Oh, excellent. No, very cool. No, we are going to continue our, Mars through the rest of the year. As long as we can find films on Time Shifters, we'll be having an episode. We're recording an episode next week called The Wizard of Mars with John Carradine.
Nice.
So it is the Wizard of Oz on Mars. So we're looking forward to that. I have not watched it yet. So that is on the agenda for this weekend. Orphan Entertainment, there is so much stuff. I mean, like I said, even though it's only a monthly podcast, there is still 13 plus years of that monthly podcast to go back and listen to. And Lydia and I have an absolute ball. I think if you listen to us, even if the films don't interest you, I think you'll get a kick out of Lydia and I because we have so much fun.
The chemistry between you two has really made the show special.
No, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, she is fantastic. I'm sorry I only get a chance to kind of talk to her really once a month.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, many hundreds of miles separate us.
And that's what the internet's for, right?
Exactly.
That and cat pictures. I say as Wednesday staring at me wanting her morning treats. So
yeah.
That said, go ahead and wrap this up. Christopher, thank you for doing this. Let's not wait another, what did we say, 3.5, 4 years? 3 years. Whatever. Let's not wait too much longer before we have you back on. We'll find another awesome movie like this one or Octoman to talk about.
Yeah, please do. Anytime you're ever struggling for someone to sit in the second seat, let me know. I'll be happy to jump on because I enjoy listening to your show. You've uncovered some films for me that I didn't know about, or maybe I knew about, but I learned so much more about because of the people that you've had on the show talking about them. So always happy to be in that position.
Well, hopefully we uncovered the Ghost of Dragstrip Hollow for some folks. Christopher, thanks for doing this, and good luck with the show, man. Keep doing
Thank
what
you, sir.
do.
And you do the same.
We're Well, that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thanks for being part of the magic that is the Bride of Monster Kid Radio. It's only magical. It's only cool because you're here. And it would be even more magical and more cool if you share this podcast with your friends. So please go online, wherever it is you hang out, social media-wise, share posts, retweet things, repost things, let people know about what we do here. And, the bigger the audience, the more the Monster Kids, the merrier. And that's what we're looking for here. We're just trying to grow the show as much as we possibly can. If you want people to learn more about the podcast, or if you want to learn more about the podcast, you can go to monsterkidradio.net. This is where you're going to find the show notes for every single episode of the podcast, going back all the way to Monster Kid Radio episode number 1. You're going to find links to the bands that we play. You're going to find links to everything that we talk about here on the show. And you're going to find our contact information. You can email me at monsterkidradio@gmail.com, or you can call and leave us a voicemail at 360-524-2484. You can also follow us on the various social media platforms, Blue Sky, X, Facebook, and all of those. And if you follow us over on Patreon, when I do post the show notes over there a few days into this upcoming week, I typically announce there exclusively what's coming up on the next episode of the podcast. You don't have to be a paying member of Patreon to get access to that. Of course, if you are, that helps us out too, because every little bit helps when it comes to keeping the podcast going, which is why we are Amazon affiliates. If you can click on the Amazon affiliate link on our website, it's kind of hard to miss. Looks like Frankenstein's monster. Don't get technical with me, but it's hard to miss. If you're going to shop on Amazon, click on that link, and that helps us out a little bit every time you buy something on that website. Bride of Monster Kid Radio is a Team Death production. All original content of Bride of Monster Kid Radio is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 4.0 Unported license. You can learn more about Team Death, our other projects like Death Designs, Mail Order Zombie, the Team Death YouTube channel, and more at www.teamdeath.com. Remember, death is spelled D-E-T-H. All previous episodes of this podcast, as well as the original Monster Kid Radio podcast, are available at www.monsterkidradio.net. Please rate and review Bride of Monster Kid Radio wherever you download your favorite podcasts. Vile Chat is copyright 2025. Beware the dangers of a ghost scorpion. You can find out more about them over at ghostscorpion.bandcamp.com, or you can look them up on Facebook or Twitter, or you can find them on their summer mini tour where they're going to be playing in Massachusetts and New York, August 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. Check them out. Let them know that you heard about them here on Bride of Monster Kid Radio. My name's Derek M. Cook. I'll talk to everybody next week. Ciao, and the endest, man.